This is the Rogie Report news on the Fringe FM. I'm Jess Rogie. The FBI confirms that a criminal group from Russia known as DarkSide is believed to be responsible for the ransomware attack on the Colonial Pipeline, which is the largest supplier of oil to the northeastern region of the United States.
That pipeline transports 100 million gallons of gasoline from Texas to New York every day. We've seen similar attacks on U.S. infrastructure in recent months.
These attacks expose just how unprepared the U.S. infrastructure is to cyber criminals. President Biden says, so far there's no evidence from our intelligence people that Russia is involved, though there is evidence that the actors behind this ransomware are Russian. So they have some responsibility to deal with this. So I guess he's saying it's not Russia, but Russians. According to The Hill, the breach of the Colonial Pipeline IT system forced the company to shut down 5,500 miles of pipeline to ensure hackers could not gain access to its operational technology. Over the weekend, people around the world watched as they wondered where a large segment of a Chinese rocket would land. Early Sunday morning, the debris from the rocket fell safely into the Indian Ocean. And NASA has something to say. NASA Administrator Bill Nelson released a statement Sunday after the debris landed, saying, "It is clear that China is failing to meet responsible standards regarding their space debris. It is critical that China and all spacefaring nations and commercial entities act responsibly and transparently in space to ensure safety, stability, security, and long-term sustainability of outer space activities." China launched the Long March 5B at the end of April as part of its ambitious project to create its own space station. In ancient discoveries, a 2,000-year-old marble head of Augustus has been discovered in an Italian town in the south-central region of Italy. Archaeologist Francesco Giancola made an exceptional discovery during restoration works to repair a medieval wall that had collapsed in 2013. He said, "We continued to dig with precision trowels, and a block of marble came out. I immediately saw that it was a head, and I recognized it as belonging to a statue of Augustus due to the hair and the shape and cut of the eyes." A ghost-like anomaly was captured on CCTV in a bar in England. The phenomenon was first noticed by Sharon Hacken, an employee who's worked at the pub for 8 years. She was watching the CCTV monitor when something caught her attention. She said, "I'd been watching the CCTV and thought, what on earth is that? I took a video of the CCTV footage on my phone. You can see the outline of a body and it looks like it has a head. And at the end, you can see an arm swinging." This has been the Rogie Report news on the Fringe FM. I'm Jess Rogie.
I'm Dave Cruz of Beyond the Strange. You're listening to KTLK Digital Broadcasting. This is The Fringe FM.
Yeah, it's kind of a creepy place, you know, because there's no light at all. A lot of experiments out there. Plutonium, nuclear weapon. Nuclear destruction. They're just balls of light. There's a ghost in the house.
Broadcasting live from Mothman Country and also deep inside my humble home state of West Virginia. This is Beyond the Strange. Hola, everyone. I'm your host, Russ Bailey, filling in for Dave Cruz, and thank you for joining us tonight. It is Monday, April 12th, 2021, the year of our Lord. Streaming on KTLK Digital Broadcasting, The Fringe FM. We have a great show in store for you tonight. Miranda Young from Ghost Biker Explorations will be joining us soon. But first, let's take care of a little bit of the show business here, so to speak. You can follow us at www.beyondthestrange.com and register to get your free monthly newsletter to stay in the know for the show. You can also follow me on Twitter, Russ Bailey, at bsky_paranormal. And you can follow Dave Cruz on Twitter at StrangeDave70 and Beyond the Strange at Strange Days 2015 for all the latest show news. Also, like and follow the Beyond the Strange Facebook page and join the rest of the Beyonders crew on Facebook in the Beyonders crew group. There's an official Beyond the Strange Discord chat, the Strange chat room where there are plenty of fringe topics to discuss with a friend during the show, or to get more information about a certain subject. Go to beyondthestrange.com, click on the show chat tab at the top of the page and fill out the rest to get hooked up to the Strange Chat Discord room. You can also reach Dave on Telegram and Signal under Dave Cruz, or write an email with question, comments, guests you'd like to hear or see on the future shows. Write Dave at beyondthestrange.com. Make sure to subscribe to Beyond the Strange YouTube channel. Please hit that like button and leave a comment during the live stream or after viewing the video. And follow us on Twitch for live streams during the week. And remember, set your alerts to receive new notifications of videos and live streams. And joining me tonight is an extra special co-host and producer tonight, We have from the Rogie Report, Miss Jess Rogie. Jess, thanks for joining us. What's up?
What's up, Russ? I'm running the sound tonight for you guys, so I'm in the background, but I'm so excited to be your co-host and your producer for tonight.
Well, thank you so much. We have a great show in store, and the sound sounds spectacular. Great to see everybody in the Discord chats and the Spreaker chat. We have Miranda Young from Ghost Biker Explorations, and Miranda has been interested in the paranormal for as long as she can remember. As a child, you could find her in the library reading books about ghosts and folklore, or visiting with her grandmother, who would often share stories about growing up in the Appalachian Mountains of East Tennessee. Miranda began investigating with a team over a decade ago and continued with them until 2018. Her role on the team consisted of photo analyst, video audio evidence producer, and marketing specialist, as well as investigator. While fully involved with the team, she found that in her spare time, she was traveling and exploring a great deal on her own. She would take photos of the locations and share them on her social media. These photos started to get a lot of attention, and people began messaging her and asking what the stories were behind these images. This is how Ghost Biker Explorations was born. Because Miranda is out on her bike taking photos every chance she gets and doing little investigations, she thought, why not chronicle these adventures through video? Miranda loves investigating the large commercial locations, but through this project, she discovered that every little town has a ghost story that the citizens have heard all their lives, or an abandoned locations that they drive by every day. Her goal is to visit these towns, spotlight the areas, tell the story, and explore the location. Miranda's interest includes motorcycles, photography, drawing, art, running, paranormal investigating, and one of my favorites, jeeping. You can find Miranda on Facebook under Ghost Biker Explorations. On YouTube, Ghost Biker Explorations. Her website is www.ghostbikerexplorations.com. And you can also follow Miranda on Instagram by the handle runaway_vixen. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please give a warm welcome from Ghost Biker Explorations, Miss Miranda Young. Miranda, thank you for joining us this evening.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having me. Hey, Russ.
Welcome.
Hey, Jess. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Great.
Doing good.
All right, let's get into the paranormal talk. What do you think?
Yeah, let's do it.
Absolutely. I'm ready.
All right, so Miranda, tell us how you got started in all this. It said you've been investigating for over 10 years, so what got you into the paranormal? What was that aha moment? I got to know.
Well, like most people that are into the paranormal, I've always been interested in it. But I was actually approached because of my background in photography. I had always watched, Unsolved Mysteries, one of my favorite shows. And in the early stages of some of the paranormal entertainment shows, I watched some of those early on. And I was approached by a guy I used to work with for my background in photography. And he wanted me to look at some different images that they had taken on investigations. And so my job was to go in, look at these images, and maybe try to give a logical explanation as to some of the things that they had captured to sort of debunk them. And one photo turned into two, and two turned into 20, and that turned into an investigation. And I've been hooked since. My first investigation was at a local restaurant and bar on a marina down in Chattanooga. And it was just myself and two members of the team. And so I got to go in and kind of take what I had seen on television and what I had been reading in books and try it out, and it's always different than what you expect when you go on your first investigation. And it ended up being a very active night. I was touched for the first time, had some really great disembodied voices and EVPs, a lot of really cool interaction on some of the different tools that we had. And that investigation, they gave me a couple of the recorders to listen to after that investigation to go back and analyze what we had captured. And then they started inviting me on a couple investigations and then invited me to join the team.
Awesome. So, have you ever had paranormal experiences when you were younger by chance?
I never really had one of those aha moments or anything like that. For me, it's always been the storytelling that has been really important. My dad and my grandmother, they were always sharing stories about where I grew up and how they grew up and the area. And also, I had this amazing librarian who she did an awesome job of telling stories that had happened locally in the area and that could account for some of the paranormal activity that people experienced. The elementary school that I went to was haunted. I never really experienced anything as far as, seeing any type of entity or shadow figure or anything like that, but really grew up with those stories. And so my parents were teachers, and so I would be at the school when some of the other students were not there. And so we would, there was a couple of us, and we would challenge each other and dare each other to go up to the area where the haunting activity took place. The story goes that there was in my elementary school back in the 1920s, they used to show movies in there. And I think it was in 1928, they were showing a comedy, and there was a doctor who was in there who would often go to the movies, and he had this really loud, boisterous laugh. And so they were watching this comedy, and he was laughing, and he really annoyed the deputy that was on staff that night. And so the deputy told him to quiet down, or he was going to kick him out. He didn't quiet down. And as you know how it is here in the South, a gunfight ensued. And the deputy ended up shooting the doctor. And he also ended up shooting a sheriff, off-duty sheriff that was there as well. And so it was always said that you could hear phantom gunshots. It was said that you could also hear this phantom laughter that would be going on up on the second level of the school. And so we would often, kind of challenge ourselves to see if we could hear any of that laughter or any of those gunshots when it was after hours there at the school. But as far as actual anything happening to me as a child, I never really, I didn't grow up in a haunted house or anything like that.
Yeah, and one thing you never do in the South is you never bring a knife to a gunfight.
No.
Definitely.
And I can guarantee you most people probably had guns rather than knives, or at least a couple knives to, and a couple guns.
Yeah, most definitely. So, when you started investigating, you seemed like you started, having more and more experiences as you went along. Was that kind of an eye-opening to you, or what did you feel when you first started experiencing all these, apparitions or EVPs or anything? What was going through your mind?
Well, it was nothing like what they show on television, because obviously it's kind of hyped and dramatized and everything. But I remember being invited to that first investigation, and I didn't know what to expect because you always kind of think are you gonna go in and is somebody gonna start levitating, or is something crazy gonna start happening? Really, how's it gonna go? And I remember it was very cool. And I remember the feeling of when I was first touched, something had grabbed my pocket, and I could feel this kind of pull on my pocket. We were standing in one of the bar areas, and we were talking to a lady who was a regular at this specific bar. She had passed away of a heart attack, and it was said that, they kept her regular seat open for her. And some of the experiences that they thought they were experiencing in this marina bar was from this lady. And so I was kind of asking questions, sort of, what type of alcohol she liked. I did, the guys that were there, they knew the type that she supposedly liked to drink. I had no idea. So I was just calling things out, which was a cool way to sort of validate, if I called out the right thing. The flashlights lit up, the EDI box went off. But as I was asking these questions, I could feel this, it almost felt like a poking feeling on the side of my leg. And so in my mind, having never really been touched before or really engaging in spirit activity, I thought, it was kind of like having a muscle spasm, and so I was kind of shifting around, and every time I would move, I would get that same feeling. And so finally, after getting that little poking feeling on my leg, I got this tug on my pocket. So I knew at that point that something was trying to get my attention. So I went over, sat down in the seat of, or sat down beside the seat of the regular lady that goes there, and started asking questions. And we ended up having a drink at the bar. But I remember the first time that I heard the disembodied voices, because again, it was just myself and two gentlemen that were there. And I remember hearing that, and it was like this mix of kind of a sick feeling, but also an adrenaline rush. Yeah. And every time I would capture some of those voices on the recorder, listening to them after the investigation, it would be that same feeling, yeah. And I still get that today. That sort of it's that push, that drive to go forward, because I drop a lot of recorders and a lot of video cameras while I'm investigating. So I have a lot to go back and listen to. And every time it's that same feeling of kind of a gut punch, a sick, but yet an adrenaline feeling.
Yeah, it is an adrenaline rush when you're investigating, especially the first time I investigated. I actually got touched on the back of my head. And it was a little bit of an unnerving feeling, but that was at St. Albans Sanatorium in Radford, Virginia. Mm-hmm. And we'll get into that a little bit later, because I've had some pretty crazy stuff happen there. I know you have too. I love that your show says every small town has a story. I mean, that's great. And I commend you for going to the small towns, having that boots on the ground mentality to find these places. What's your favorite type of instruments and tools that you use for your paranormal investigations?
So for me, because I am on the motorcycle, I have to travel light. And so I've gotten really good at packing my go bag and a couple little kits that I'll take. I really have to plan the investigation just so that I don't really have a lot of waste when I'm traveling. My favorite tools to take, of course, I love my recorders, because to me, I feel like that's some of the best evidence that I can get. I love my recorders. I also love my dowsing rods. I really like those because you don't have to worry about the battery drain. A lot of the entities that we're speaking with and working with, they are familiar with these tools. So it's not like asking them to touch a light or touch something that they may not understand. And then they're also very easy to manipulate. You can ask the yes, no questions as well as the directional type questions. So I love my dowsing rods, and probably my favorite actual tool would have to be my EDI box or my EDI Plus, because I'm able to get those scientific readings, also able to get the EMF readings all in real time, as well as using the geophone on that. So those three are definitely the tools that I always have with me, regardless of where I'm at, and probably my go-to tools if I'm picking something.
For the audience members that haven't seen Ghost Rider Explorations, you need to check out our YouTube channel. When Miranda and her co-investigators or co-investigator are doing investigations, they have the atmospheric conditions, and they also have the moon phase and who's investigating. I mean, that's pretty brilliant, because it lets people know what all's involved. Now, when it comes to moon phases, do you think that the different phases of the moon has an effect on paranormal activity in different locations?
Tend to think so. That's always definitely something that I look at when I go. I like to try to account for all the atmospheric conditions. I also like to try to account for and let people know just who's on the property and that sort of thing, and account for the noise and light pollution, that sort of thing. Looking at the moon phases, I have found that there are certain times in certain places that it does seem to affect, the moon. I mean, the moon affects the tides, the moon affects animals, the moon affects, I can tell myself it even affects me at times. So I definitely feel that it does kind of play a part. I'm still really analyzing, because what would be ideal would be to go to a specific location at each different moon phase, just to see if to try to create that type of experiment, where it's, where you're doing it all and seeing and doing the same experiments to see if it does change. But I do believe that the moon, as well as the seasons and the temperature, has played an effect on some of my different investigations.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, I firsthand know full moons have big effects on people and animals and everything.
Yes.
And hey, you might even run into some werewolves out there. You never know.
You never know.
I know. All the cryptids and paranormal UFOs, all that stuff, it's all connected somehow, I think.
Yes.
Agreed.
But, all joking aside, when you're out doing an outdoor investigation, a full moon or a real bright moonlight is really great for, stirring up activity. Have you ever did many graveyard investigations like that?
Yes, I've done a lot of graveyards. Being here in East Tennessee, we have them all over, and we don't really have the restrictions as far as some of the other states have as far as being able to go, because up in the mountains, there's just all kinds of small family plots and all kinds of different sort of forgotten cemeteries around here. So I love to investigate the cemeteries. You do have to really take into account the fact that you are outside, and that some of the noises and stuff that you may experience may be from outside animal type contamination, but you just modify your investigation style to a more outside type investigation style with those. But I absolutely love those outside cemetery and investigations.
Yeah, I do too. Definitely, it's kind of peaceful, actually. So we have a question from Pat the Elf, and for our audience members that don't know Pat or Miranda, he loves Oreos, which he's a smart man. Pat wants to know if you use any type of crystals in your investigations, Miranda. And we've got about 2 minutes till the break.
Not necessarily in my investigations. I do have several different crystals that I do keep with me, and they've actually been gifts from different investigators. But as far as actually using in the investigation, I have not. I've thought of a couple different experiments I've wanted to try, but as far as my regular, I have not used them in an investigation.
So do you use them more for protection or communication?
It really just depends. Like I said, they've been gifts. I have a couple quartz that I carry with me that were given to me, and I have a black onyx ring and a black onyx cross that I'm really drawn to onyx, and so I always wear my onyx cross, as well as I keep my black onyx ring with me when I'm investigating. I feel that it is for protection.
Michael Jordan says, does Miranda snack on Oreos on the way to the investigation?
I am actually partial to combos. I don't know why, but every time I'm riding and going on an investigation, and it's the only time I buy them.
That's so funny.
Combos. Yeah, I love combos. I'm more of a, I guess, savory
snack
person.
Got it.
Yeah.
They are so good. I love the pepperoni pizza combos.
Yes.
They are like my favorite.
Oh,
They're
I
excellent.
like those in the 7-layer dip.
Yes.
Pretty good.
Yes.
Oh my
We
God,
are
sounds
about.
good.
I know. Now that you got us hungry, we're about to take a break.
Yeah, I'm gonna go have some combos on my break.
Take us to break, Russ.
All right, everybody. We'll be right back after these messages. Again, we're chatting with Miranda Young from Ghost Biker Explorations tonight. See you guys in a few.
Here we go.
Guys, I will be right back.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
This is Dave Cruz, host of Beyond the Strange, and you're listening to The Fringe FM.
Are you thinking about creating a podcast but don't know where to start? Do you really want to have to learn all this stuff? Individual track processing, enhance and improve sound quality, edit out those awkward pauses and slips, mix multiple clips and tracks, fix and balance noise levels and perfect volumes, deliver consistent sound, live podcast production, show notes and SEO optimization, episode upload to hosting, live call screening, balance levels allowed to measure broadcast standards, full branding packages, logo design, podcast site, website, show artwork, video and audio production. Gotta do video because everybody's doing video, branded video graphics. Or do you just want to get on the mic and get your ideas out there? The Fringe FM team is here to help with all of your podcasting, audio and video production needs. From simple podcast to audio enhancement, our professional production staff will make it easier than ever to create the podcast you desire.
The biggest thing is time. A lot of people that podcast don't have time. Time is like a really valuable currency next to cost. It's even more important than money. Why waste your time doing all this stuff? This is what we can do for you. Think about like the hours and the money you're gonna have to put into doing all this by yourself. Doesn't make sense. It's gonna take you months to launch. If we did it for you, we could do it tomorrow.
Visit thefringe.fm, join our team, and get jump started on your podcast today.
Everything is awesome. Everything is cool when you're part of a team.
Want more of The Fringe? Check out thefringe.fm for more information on your favorite shows. Also, don't forget to check out the Fringe mobile app or the other ways you can tune in through the Paranormal Radio app and TalkStream Live. Where the normal and paranormal collide, it's the Fringe FM.
Hey there, this is Ryan Gable of the Secret Teachings radio broadcast, and you are listening to the inquisitive Dave Cruz from Beyond the Strange on the Fringe FM.
Have you ever looked skyward and pondered UFOs, aliens, time travel, alternate universes, and parallel dimensions? Want to explore paranormal activities, hauntings, and various cryptoids such as Bigfoot, sea and lake monsters? Greetings, Beyonders. I'm Author Casper Parks, and you're listening to Beyond the Strange with host Dave Cruz. Help spread the word by posting links to forums and social media. Available at YouTube, Spreaker, iTunes, Stitcher, and TuneIn Radio.
Welcome back to Beyond the Strange, everybody. I'm your guest co-host tonight, filling in for Dave Cruz. I'm Russ Bailey.
Bailey.
Also, yep. Also joining us tonight, special guest co-host and host of the Rogie Report, Jess Rogie. What's happening, Jess?
What up, Russ? Great show. This is so much fun. I love it.
It is a blast. I gotta say, I gotta do a shout out to the people in the chats tonight. Thanks for joining us. Got the Elf in there. Got Ken. I've got I see the Rogie Report. She's been chatting and talking.
Yeah, look at me.
Doing a little bit of multitasking tonight. Got Crate 757. Our good friend Al Cooley from Ghost in the Valley podcast, where I first heard Miranda. So very cool. Thanks for joining us. Everybody got Peppy and dude. What a show we've got so far tonight. We have Miranda Young from Ghost Biker Explorations. You can follow her on Facebook at Ghost Biker Explorations, also on YouTube at Ghost Biker Explorations, and her website is ghostbikerexplorations.com. And Instagram, she is the runaway_vixen. And without further ado, once again, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back Miranda. Thank you again for joining us this evening.
Yay!
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, so a little break from the paranormal.
Ooh.
So I've got to know what got you into motorcycles and what type of bike are you currently riding?
Ooh.
What's not to love about motorcycles,
Right.
I mean, it's just absolute freedom, and it's the best way to center and ground yourself before an investigation or any time if you're having a bad day.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been interested in motorcycles, and I started riding a little bit before I started investigating. So I guess I've been riding for about 13 years now. And I ride a 883 Harley Davidson Iron. And it's a matte black bike. Everything's blacked out on it all the way down to the engine. And it's actually a throwback to a 69 bobber style motorcycle.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I love that classic style. It looks great. Some of the newer Harleys, they're like super huge. I mean,
yeah.
But I saw pictures. I'm like, man, that's a great looking bike. I love the blacked out.
Yeah, the blacked out is so good. It looks so slick.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I've always loved the Sportster style with the small peanut tank, and I mean, yeah, it can be a little frustrating when you're traveling, and it's because it's got the smaller tank, and so you got to stop for gas quite a bit. But I mean, it gives you that opportunity to step up and stretch your legs and everything. But one of my first toys that I ever had when I was a kid was a little green Sportster, and so I loved that style. And sometimes whenever I'm out riding, depending on where I'm riding at, I will sometimes rent a larger bike. If like I was riding on the coast and riding out west, I have rented larger bikes, but and put quite a few miles on those. But any opportunity I get, I'm always on my Sportster, and that's what I like. I just love that throwback style.
That's what
so
you need,
cool.
Jess. You need a Harley.
I know, it's so cool.
You do.
It's so
You
cool.
do.
I was looking at your picture. I'm like, so cool.
Yeah. I would love to have a Harley. I mean,
Did they
I
make
can see
them?
myself.
Did they make them big enough for you, Russ?
I know, right? I need like the helmet with the big bull horns on it.
Yes.
But I know, with a shadow of a doubt, if I got a Harley, I'd straight up kill myself. I just know how I am, because I'll never forget the first time I got on a bike, and I got intimidated because I had training wheels and everything, but I still wrecked on training wheels. But just to let everybody know in the chat tonight, if you have any questions for Miranda, please put them in all caps. We'll be happy to answer them for you.
Yep.
So a lot of investigations you've got under your belt, Miranda. So I got to ask you, what is the most haunted place that you've ever investigated?
Ooh, that's a good question.
That's a tough question.
Mm-hmm.
Because there have been so many with so many different kinds of hauntings. I'd probably have to say the most active location that I ever investigated was one that I covered in my season 1 and season 2 of Ghost Biker Explorations. And it was actually a residential home that I called the House on Sunset Hill. And that location, I was actually there investigating a local legend about a monk who his body was put into. He perished in a train wreck, and the doctor took his body and put it into the bathtub at his house and stripped the skin from the bones and used the bones in his doctor's office. And I was actually there investigating this haunted tub. And I was getting so much activity from this house that it actually ended up becoming a year-long case for me. And so that's probably the most active location, because I kid you not, this place, it's like as soon as you got up to it and went in, there was always activity. I've never been anywhere to where the cameras are rolling, you're on a live, and you've still got activity. So that was probably the most active. The other would probably have to be Brushy Mountain State Penitentiary in Petros, Tennessee. I've investigated that one on 6 different locations and have slept in the solitary confinement area on one particular occasion and got some of the best Class A EVPs, both intelligent and residual, that I've ever captured. So those would probably be some of my most active, but I'm telling you, Old South Pitt Hospital and Hell's Bar Dam, those locations, I mean, they're right there too. Hell's Bar has been one that for me has been sort of affected with the weather. Usually I tend to get more stuff when it's cold when I'm there.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know why. Yeah. But those are definitely right up there with activity as far as, the other places I've been.
Yeah, I've actually, back in 2017, my team and I investigated Old South Pittsburgh Hospital. Mm-hmm. And, in the courtyard, I snapped a picture, and you could see faces in the windows all through the place. Had really unnerving time in the basement. We use... I don't know if you've used a Phasma box before. It's a Windows program you download from extremesenses.com. Mm-hmm. And we were in the basement, and we were communicating with the doctor in Old South Pittsburgh Hospital. And he told me he wanted to kill me.
Wow.
Straight up. So that was kind of chilling. We even caught, we didn't catch it on film. But one of my investigators actually saw a shadow walking across the hallway at the end of the hallway. It was towards the end of the night, but that's definitely a very, very intense.
It is
haunted place. What type of activity have you encountered at Old South Pittsburgh, Miranda?
So Old South Pitt was probably, I'm thinking back, and I believe it was my first large scale location that I had ever investigated, because when I was with the team, I had investigated, like I said, at several different bars, some local schools, that sort of thing. But that was my first large scale commercial investigation. It was just myself and one other guy from the team, and we investigated the weekend after Halloween. So I think it was like the 1st of November. And so the timing was really interesting. And this was back, I believe this time was early, it was like 2012. And so we had investigated there. We got everything. And the disembodied voices were amazing that we captured there. We captured a woman calling out codes. She was calling out code blue. And then also at the time they had the x-rays, and they had a lot of like personal patient information, I guess, kind of sitting out. And we were looking at this x-ray in the pulmonary area, and the person looked like they, had, it was like black lung almost. And we caught this really raspy voice, and it was, and this is just, there was no ITC aiding this or anything. It was just straight up EVP. We caught this really raspy voice that said something like a little bit of fluid, but not much. And it was, and it just kind of sounded like somebody that had a really deep smoker's voice. And so we captured that. And probably one of the coolest EVPs, and I need to put this out there, it's actually with my old team's page, but we ended up sleeping on one of the halls there on the main floor. And so I put several different recorders out, one at the nurse's station, and then also put them on the different floors. But outside of the room where I was sleeping, there was someone kept coming by and knocking on the door. They would come by and just slam on the door. Woke us up on 3 different occasions. And after one of them, you hear this real intense sobbing. Now, we didn't hear this, but we captured it on the recorder. You hear this sobbing, and a woman, as she's sobbing, she says, "Please let me see him." And it just kind of puts you, it's so saddening and heart-wrenching. It makes you think of either somebody that was in a bad car wreck or a heart attack or whatever, and the lady is just really wanting to see them. And you could hear it happening in the hall right outside where we were trying to sleep. And you hear, so we had a recorder in the room and the recorder outside. And after you hear the slap on the door, you can hear us talking inside there, very, very muffled. And then that's when you start to hear the woman in the hall. And we were able to kind of triangulate that from having the multiple recorders. We were able to kind of tell the area that she was in. And then we also got a lady, I was sitting at the nurse's station around shift change. And of course, it was very, very cold. They didn't have any heat or anything. So we would sit there, have the heater on for a few minutes, and then turn the heater off so that we didn't have the noise contamination. And I asked for a nurse to go and check on a patient down at the end of the hall. And you can literally hear what sounds like a chair push from the nurse's station, and you hear footsteps moving down the hall. So it was a very cool location. We didn't have anything negative. I think we had a screw thrown when we were in the boiler area, and I don't even know if the boiler area is open to people anymore. But we had something thrown down in that region. But everything else seemed to be, there was a lot of residual from just kind of the nightly activity, but then just a lot of responses that were germane to the actual location. As far as, like I said, a page. We also had, we caught what we thought were the elevators. And then also in the nursery section, we caught a baby cooing. It wasn't crying, but we caught a baby cooing. And that was really cool because we heard that happen in the moment.
Oh, wow. You heard it. Did you heard it in your ears? Yeah.
We did. And I'll often use headphones with my recorder. Yeah. That way, if I do hear something, I can call it out. And what's really cool on this one is you can hear it. And a lot of the time you'll hear me say, "I just heard this," and so we were actually calling it out in the moment. We got a couple growls in a few areas, but that was really the extent of it. Nothing really negative there, but definitely very, very active.
Yeah, and something I've always wondered, how in God's name did they get that car inside the hospital, that little red car? I mean, there's literally like an old MG convertible inside South Pittsburgh Hospital. I mean, well,
it's gone now with the new owners. They've really, really cleaned it up, and I've not investigated it since it's changed ownership. But I was there. I was actually there last month. A friend of mine, Doyle Goss from Old Southern Funeral Home and Old Atala Jail, he had passed away, and so his team, Southern Paranormal, hosted a memorial ghost hunt at Old South Pitt. And I actually had another event going on that weekend, but I was able to go over, meet up with everyone, and do a tour of how they've fixed up the hospital. And it looks amazing in there. And I was just chomping at the bit to go and investigate. So I've got to get a date scheduled because that place is unlike any other. I think I've investigated it on 3 different occasions. And every time, just as active as the last, But the time that it was just myself and another guy there, which again was my first time, that was the most active of all the times I've been there, and pretty creepy too, with just the two of us in there.
Ooh. It is. It's a pretty big establishment, and I definitely got to get back down that way to investigate it. It's one of those places that you have to go to multiple times to completely get the full experience. Now, when we went down, we passed Hell's Bar Dam coming from West Virginia. We went through like Alabama or Georgia, Alabama, somewhere that way. And, we spoke a little bit about moon phases, but something I've noticed, and I don't know if you've noticed this too or not, it seems like paranormal activity always occurs more strongly around running water. Like a river or a lake, or have you noticed that?
I have, and and Hell's Bar is just kind of a trifecta there with being on the water and being the type of structure that it is. I've definitely noticed that with several different locations. Brushy Mountain's the same way. They've got a lot of underground springs, and being right there in the mountains, so definitely I think water plays a part of it. Hell's Bar for me was one that I've investigated it multiple times, and it is active or very active, but I've noticed that I've had more activity when it's been cold, almost frigid. Being there on the water, I know a couple times, one time I investigated, I think it was like 28 degrees and it was almost miserable, but it just seemed like, and of course this was in October. And so it was getting close to Halloween. I believe it was around a full moon. So there were a lot of things that had lined up with this, but it was that particular night, it was exceptionally active. And I think I had something actually follow me home from that particular investigation.
Ooh.
Hell's Bar has been the only location that I feel as though I've had something follow me. Now, it didn't stay. It was kind of just a traveler, but that location at that particular time, it was very active. The couple times I went during the summer, there was a little bit of noise contamination that they had a karaoke bar not far from there. And so it was hot, and we were getting a little bit of that. Could have played into some of the lack of activity, but I had to throw some stuff out just because there was some noise contamination up until in the middle of the night, when things kind of quieted down there at the karaoke bar. But that's definitely one location that I've noticed that the seasons have played a part as far as myself in my investigations.
So when that entity followed you home, did you have to do anything to get rid of it, or did it just eventually go away?
After I acknowledged it went away.
Nice.
I caught it on my recorder, as well as I've got some home security cameras here, and both times it was messing with my dog. It almost seemed like once I acknowledged it and acknowledged the activity, after a few days it went away.
Nice.
Oh. You've got cats too, don't you?
I do. I didn't at the time. I had a dachshund at the time, but I do have cats, and you probably see them running around here.
Yeah, I saw one in the background earlier. I've got a cat too. I love cats, man. They're
awesome. But yes, as far as the activity, when I was having something in the house, it was messing with the dog, and it was actually the time that I caught it on the recorder, I was having things moved around my house, and things to the point to where it was almost like, is somebody coming in while I'm at work? And so I sat a recorder out, and I left. You hear me go down the steps, you hear me set the alarm, and 13 minutes and 10 seconds after I left, you hear my dachshund come into my kitchen, and she's panting, and she's clearly in distress. And you hear this really gravelly, garbled voice say, "Sugar, stop." and she stopped. And my dog's name was Sugar. And so,
wow.
Yeah. And
oh,
I knew, and
man.
I remember telling my mother.
Oh my gosh.
I remember telling Mom after I heard that, and she's like, "Oh, there's someone in your house." And I'm like, "Mom, he would have had to have literally slept in the house overnight and waited for me to go to work." So I said, it's not someone, necessarily coming in. And so after I captured that, and, that was all I caught in that 8-hour day. Well, I think it was more like 9.5 hours. And so I put a couple static cameras out to see if I captured anything at that point. Now, things were being moved around in the kitchen. Everything was always either being moved to the center of the room or something was being moved into the center of the door frame. And so I had left for the weekend. I left a recorder out and I captured a child's voice that said, I'm going to go outside. And so, I have 2 cameras outside and 2 inside. There was nobody outside. It was dark. Like I said, it was in November at that point, October, November. So it was getting dark early. So no child was going to be going outside at 8:00 at night. And then I also captured on the camera that I had downstairs just before I came home. I'd come home at lunch, taken my motorcycle jacket off and left it on the chair. And then I went back to work. And, a motorcycle jacket is always very heavy. It's got armor in it. It's a pretty heavy jacket. The dog is 13 pounds, and she actually pulled the jacket off, used the bathroom on it. And when I went back to look at my footage to see why she had done that, it was really more of a protective thing, because just before she does it, you see her in distress and you see what looks like this. It comes out of nowhere. This orb comes out of the jacket, blows up, goes across the room. So she goes over, pulls the jacket off, uses the bathroom on it. And then when I come home, I went ahead and I watched, 30 minutes on into the footage. I'm eating in my living room, and while I'm cleaning the jacket up, I'm sitting there eating. And after I finish eating, you see something dart across the room, raise up, and it turns into like a side profile of a face and walks behind me. So I'm already out of frame. So it's not like it's a trail from me, from the camera. Yeah. And I'm 6 foot. And so this had to be about 6'2". So, so there was clearly something in there, and judging by the dog's behavior is really because that was out of character for her.
Jess, I've got chills, man, just hearing that story. I mean, because Jess has dogs too, and it's, man, and animals, they can see what we can't see, and they can sense it, man. There's their senses are heightened and everything. We've got a couple of minutes before the break, but man, thank God that's gone. I mean,
yeah. It was really after I acknowledged and captured that on the recorder. Now I felt a little uneasy downstairs, especially seeing that side profile. Because I'm not really a big orb person, but this was unlike anything I'd ever seen. I've never seen one come and then couple that with the behavior of the dog and everything that happened. Because and what's interesting is just before, when I get up to go take my trash outside, you see the dog start pacing back and forth. So she's pacing, and then you just see this thing zip across the screen. Just it zips across the bottom. It literally raises up and then turns into a profile. And so as it walks, you see her, she's just panting and running back and forth. So couple that with the unexplained and out of character behavior for her, I felt like it was potentially something unexplainable.
Yeah, folks, if you think things are getting spooky now, wait till we come back after the break. We're going to go ahead and take a second break for the evening. Tonight, we're chatting with Miranda Young from Ghost Bikers Exploration. I'm your guest host of the evening, Russ Bailey, filling in for Dave Cruz, along with Jess Rogie. We'll be back after these few messages, guys. Stay strange.
This is the Rogie Report, news on the Fringe FM. I'm Jess Rogie. Do humans respond to the touch of a robot? And do humans listen to robots? According to a new study, researchers are hoping that one day robots may be able to fill the role of therapists, personal trainers, and even life coaches. So you can have your robot coach you how to be a better robot. The study follows the widespread increase of touch starvation during the COVID-19 pandemic. Several studies have pointed out how physical distancing and isolation is creating psychological complications over the last year. Study authors note that scientists continue to explore the effects of physical contact with robots. Laura Hoffman from Ruhr University said, "Slightly tapping human participants' hands during a conversation resulted in better feelings and more compliance to the request of the humanoid robot. Rise of the machines." An MIT researcher says UFOs could potentially redefine all of science. According to Futurism, Rizwan Virk, an MIT graduate and founder of the Incubator Play Labs at MIT, said it would be a huge mistake not to take these reports seriously going forward. To Virk, studying UFOs could potentially redefine all of science and lead to a new understanding of our place in the universe, and new advances in material sciences, biology, quantum physics, cosmology, and social science. Virk is hoping to encourage academics and industry leaders to move beyond their biases into an open-minded investigation to figure out who or what created them and how they work. A woman from Oklahoma purchased a chair online to redecorate her home, and when it arrived, she noticed it looked a little strange.
People were texting me and asking me, really, give us the story. Did someone die in it? Did someone melt in it?
Dee Whitlock bought the chair online, but she never noticed the eerie outline of a man in the chair until it was delivered to her home in Oklahoma and she tried to resell it.
I put on there, beautiful chair, nothing wrong with it. And that's what really grabbed the attention of all the viewers. People were commenting, yeah, except there's someone that died in it.
And she's decided to call the chair Henry. Good luck with Henry. What conspiracies do Canadians believe in? In a recent study performed by Insight, they surveyed 1,063 people across Canada. 53% of Canadians believe that UFOs exist. 20% are believers in Sasquatch, and 11% believe in the infamous Ogopogo. This has been the Rogie Report, news on the Fringe FM. I'm Jess Rogie.
This is Joe Roop from Lighting the Void, and you're listening to KTLK Digital Broadcasting Station, The Fringe FM.
Hey, this is Deb, and you're listening to Dave Cruz on Beyond the Strange Radio.
Please listen. Now is not the time to fear. When your immune system is strong, shields up. You have very little worries. If your immune system is compromised, you're susceptible to all viruses. I say shields up and no fear. Try Heart Love from GetTheTea.com. Heart Love has a special ingredient called allicin. It comes from the healing part of the garlic plant. No garlic breath, no garlic leaking out your pores, just pure immune-building ingredients that gets your shields up. Heart Love is a unique blend of herbs that loves to build you up. Google garlic and know the benefits. One Heart Love pill is equal to 20 cloves of garlic. 20 cloves. Shields up. You've heard of our Life Change Cleansing Tea at GetTheTea.com. Now try Heart Love. And by the way, take your blood pressure and watch weekly what happens. So here's how to purchase. Log on to GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. And build your shields. That's GetTheTea.com. Mention Ray in the coupon code and hit apply and receive free shipping.
Hey, Fringe listeners, Dave Cruz here, reminding you that Beyond the Strange airs live Monday evenings at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 10 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on The Fringe FM. BTS is your one-stop shop for the paranormal, the bizarre, and most of all, the strange. Join me and co-host Black Sky Paranormal's Russ Bailey as we discuss topics such as aliens, ghosts, Bigfoot, and much more. Also, we talk with profound guests, authors, researchers from all over the world, and we take your calls live on the air. Go to BeyondTheStrange.com and learn more about the show, guests, times, free registration for our newsletter, merch, and much more. Again, that's Beyond the Strange, Monday evenings, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern, right here on KTLK Digital Broadcasting, The Fringe FM. And as always, stay strange.
Hey, is that a new music app?
Yeah, check it out. Surfer Music Discovery. It links to thousands of online stations, but the twist is you see the song names and artists that are now playing live.
That's different. No guessing. Looks like a waterfall of music.
So many formats. Rock, oldies, country, R&B, jazz, and a whole lot more.
How's that spelled?
Surfer. S-U-R-F-R.
Is it expensive?
It's free. No need to sign up or sign in.
Get the Surfer Music app free from Google Play or the App Store.
Hey, welcome back to Beyond the Strange, everybody. I'm your guest host tonight, Russ Bailey, filling in for Dave Cruz, and we also have a special guest host, co-host tonight from the Rogie Report, Jess Rogie. What's up, Jess?
What up, Russ? This has been going so great. The story with your dog is just like, it's just so compelling because I'm like,
Jess.
Am I muted? Where am I? Where? I have 3 different mute buttons for the mic. I have one on the soundboard, one on the Zoom, right? And then one on my mic. So I was like, which one is it? No, I was going to say, thank you, Russ. This has been a great episode. The whole, the story with what occurred with you and your dog is just so compelling. I'm just like trying to think about, if my dog had to go through that and, how worried I would be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah. And we're interviewing Miranda Young from Ghost Biker Explorations. You can follow her on her website at www.ghostbikerexplorations.com. And once again, thank you so much for joining us tonight, Miranda. It's been a fascinating show.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Oh,
I've really
man.
enjoyed
Come
it.
back anytime. It's a blast talking paranormal. It's great.
It always is.
I will be back for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And you might even be back for some karaoke pretty soon, right?
Yeah,
absolutely. I typically, I'm one of those people. I'm kind of shy when it comes to that, but you never know. Get a couple drinks and get some good people around. You never know. I'd love to come back.
It is a blast. We have a ball. We have, bring your drink, sing some songs, have some laughs. It's so much fun.
I'll take you up on that.
Yeah, definitely. And I learned one thing. I'm never karaokeing 9 Inch Nails again.
Oh, that was yeah.
Because I about lost my freaking voice the next day. It was
it was
I had to go to work. I couldn't hardly talk. I was like, man, what's up with my voice? Oh, it's because I was screeching out terrible lie all night, And,
and that's a hard one to sing too.
Yeah, I was shocked. I was shocked you picked that one. I was like, man, Russ.
Yeah, well, I mean, we were going like an 80s theme. And, I mean, I love 9 Inch Nails, one of my favorite bands. And, that album came out in 1989. So technically, that is an 80s song.
It is.
It is. So I had to just, let my hair, what little hair I have down, and just go with the flow,
That's Head Like a Hole, isn't it?
Yeah, Head Like a Hole.
Yeah.
Black as Your Soul.
Yeah, that's right.
Awesome. So Miranda has been going to different locations, investigating. One of the latest ones she went to has been one of my favorite places that I've been, and my first place I ever investigated, and that's St. Albans Sanatorium in Radford, Virginia. So tell us how that all went down, Miranda. We must talk about this. It's a great place.
Yeah, it's such a wonderful place. So I was going to be one of the speakers at Enigma Cons this year. And what they had done is they had set up a dinner as well as an investigation, and then we were supposed to be speaking. But due to, the changes and everything with COVID, they had to actually postpone it this year. And so they invited those of us that were scheduled as speakers to go ahead and come on up. And they had a great dinner for us. And then they let us investigate for 2 nights, and then also go back during the day and take pictures and do investigations, which I was so impressed by so many different aspects of this location. One, the activity during the day is just as active as it is at night, if sometimes not more. And then also the fact of just how large this location is. It's kind of deceptive. I mean, it's quite a big building when you see the outside, but it's quite deceptive once you get in. It's so easy to get lost, and you really don't, regardless of, you can have quite a few people there and really not run into each other. And what was kind of cool about that, so that was my first time there, and I really didn't know too many of the stories when I went in, or at least I didn't really know as far as like what happened at what spot, because I'd never been in there before. And so on the first night, I got a tour from Alan May. He took me around and told me, it gave me a tour, which is kind of challenging at midnight, getting a tour and trying to remember your way. We had a really interesting experience because we did a little bit of investigating, but it was mostly just sort of exploring. And so he took me down to the records area, which it's not a very highly investigated area, and it's really quiet. And as we were going down there, we thought that there was a group of ladies down there investigating. And so, Alan is very polite and very soft spoken. And he said, let's don't interrupt them, but this is what's in this area. And so we could actually see a light, like it was, we were standing around the corner and we could see that the room was lighter. And so he said, and they kind of got quiet for a few minutes. So he said, I think we've already interrupted them. So let's just stick our head in and, I'll show you the room and then we'll go on out. And as soon as we got closer and stuck our head in, there was nobody in there.
Oh.
And there's only
Wow.
one way out. So we both audibly heard these voices, and thankfully I had a recorder on me the whole time. I was also videoing, but I don't think I was videoing at that moment. So we went in, we ended up doing a session in there, and had a pretty cool little session with our EDI box, and I think some flashlights. We also had those. And so the very next night, we were talking to Marcel and telling her about what we had experienced down there. And she said, it's interesting that, and she said, this is something that they haven't really shared with a lot of the people, but at one point in time, they were doing a perimeter check, and they thought that there were some women down there in that area, and they actually thought they were arguing. So they came back up, called the cops, and because they thought sure someone was down there, and they stayed because to get down to that little area, there's only one way down there to that. And she said, so they waited to see if they were going to come back up. And of course, when the cop went down, there was nobody down there, but they had set a recorder up at the top of the steps, and they were able to catch those women arguing. So, so that was a pretty cool experience, because between the two of us, we thought for sure that we had come up on to two ladies doing a session down there. Cause I mean, you could tell the inflection in their voice, and you could see sort of the room. Like I said, the room was sort of lighter, like they had a flashlight or something going off in there.
St. Albans Sanatorium is definitely one of the most active places on the East Coast that you can investigate. When I went there back in 2017, I went with a group called was Ghost Hunt USA, and there was a ton of people investigating that night. We were all in groups. Well, we were all in I guess it was like an auditorium or something, sitting down, just chit chatting with people, meeting people and everything. And all of a sudden, there's a fan, and they had fans on in there, but this fan just goes crashing into the floor. And I'm like, this is already starting for the night. And it was right on the table. It was sturdy. It was not at the edge of the table. It just, boom, fell on the floor. So I was like, well, that sets precedence for the night. So anyways, I was in this group with my sisters, and I forget if we were down in hydroponics or maybe the shock treatment area, but I had caught on film that an orb, and it went into her, and she actually had an attachment that night.
Oh,
and the psychic medium with Ghost Hunt USA had to take her outside and do a cleansing, a white light cleansing. That wasn't the only thing that happened there that night. When I was up in the boys' dorm room on the hallway, we were doing flashlight session. We had saw a spinning black orb.
Ooh,
I went into one of the rooms. I got touched on the back of my head, and the whole night ended with somebody having a seizure. And they just called it right then. So a lot of activity going on that night. That was my baptism of fire into the world of paranormal investigating. I know you've had some wild experiences down there too, Miranda, haven't you?
I have. And what was really cool about that. So again, the first night was more of just kind of getting oriented. And so I went back the second day and spent probably about 3.5 to 4 hours just going through during the day, taking a lot of, I love to do urban exploration and doing photos and that sort of thing. So spent the time taking a lot of photos, and then really just kind of went and stayed in some of the areas by myself during the day. I went back of a night, and that particular night, there were only 6 of us that went back. So it was cool to get to investigate with a lot of these other investigators that I followed, but I hadn't had the opportunity to meet. And so we did a very cool Estes method session in one of the rooms up, the room with the little boy, and his name escapes me right this minute. I know Daniel and I can't remember the little boy's name. But we were up there, and so we did an Estes method session as well as read the Jungle Book. And I had some pretty cool activity on my Periscope, which, I mean, for the longest time, I thought that this tool was broke and I never got anything off of it. But I find that there and the Lizzie Borden house is where I've actually had activity with this Periscope, and it seems to only happen in areas with children. Ooh. So they seem to really like the Periscope. So we did about a 45-minute Facebook Live in that room, and then I actually broke off by myself and ended up doing a 2.5-hour Facebook Live that night off by myself. I just went to different rooms, the dragon room, the suicide bathroom, hydroponics, went to all of those different rooms and really just kind of sat down and did some different experiments. One of the most active I felt was in the solitary area. And we were trying to see if maybe we could see the creeper. I did a dowsing rod session there, and we were capturing like this murmuring sort of sound. And then also the other thing was I got lost on several times and ended up going through Alcoholics about 3 different times. And you could hear, so the first time I went, I thought that the 2 guys that I had done the Estes method with, that they were down there as well. And so I thought they had gone upstairs, but I was hearing these voices and seeing flashlights. So we thought, well, we'll kind of follow them. Even people on the Facebook Live was seeing and hearing them. We follow to the end of this hall. It dead ends. There's nobody there. And come to find out, the guys were up on the 2nd floor. They hadn't even come downstairs. So I don't know who we were following, but once we got down there into Alcoholics and started walking around, as I was leaving, you could hear something following me. It sounded like it would wait till I got kind of far ahead, and then you would hear this running, like it was trying to catch up with me. And so people that were watching, they were able to kind of sense that I would stop. You could hear it running up, and then it would just stop. And so that was kind of a cool experience. I love going off by myself and just kind of seeing where the location leads me to. And that was definitely cool. And it was very cool that there was a lot of folks that were able to sort of be my eyes and ears and experience a lot of it along with me. It was definitely a active night, and very interesting. I'm really intrigued and want to go back after that experience.
Most definitely. And another place that's really haunted inside of St. Albans Sanatorium is the boiler room. And,
yes.
And, ironically, and this is, Jess, this is where I met Ryan and Remzo Martinez of Argos Paranormal, which if you guys are listening, hi, Ryan and Remzo. If you haven't checked out the Witching Hour on argosparanormal.com, check it out. It's great.
Yes.
But anyways, Ryan and Remzo, did an EVP session down in the boiler room. I was standing right behind them, and the K2 meter was going insane, and it was a very, very dark entity that we all encountered down there, and I had chills, and that was towards the end of our investigation for the night, because right after that, the lady that was there had the seizure, and they just called the investigation. So it almost felt like activity had ramped up so much that the place was just flooded with energy. It was crazy.
Yeah. And, it was interesting because I was actually looking for the bowling alley and the boiler room the whole time, and I could not find it. And so the way that the guys actually found me was they logged on to my live and saw where I was at. And so then they came and found me. And they took me down there. And so they say that the entity that's in the boiler room does not like women. And is very aggressive toward them. So I don't know if there was something that was kind of shielding me from, because I was taking these stairs. I was going down staircases that, I hadn't been down, and all of a sudden I end up in the same spot. So, so we all did end up going down there, and it was like instantly my phone starts draining. Now I know that, you're down there on that bottom level. So, it's reaching for service, but it dropped from about 32% to right around 16%, just instantly. Yeah. When I got down there. And so we didn't spend very much time down there, but I kind of wondered if there wasn't something that sort of didn't necessarily think I should go by myself.
Yeah.
And that maybe that's why, maybe it was subconscious. Maybe that's why I couldn't find it. But I was really drawn to that area before I really even knew that there was a darker entity there.
Yeah, definitely.
Wow. Yeah.
That place is like a maze inside too. And I mean,
yes.
Jess, it is absolutely huge once you get inside.
Wow.
It's big on the outside, but it's even bigger on the inside. I mean, perhaps if we ever do an investigation together down there, Miranda, we need to start in the boiler room and just see where that
leads
us. Yeah, I'm ready. I mean,
let's do it. And it's wild because there's like hidden staircases, like little secret staircases inside the walls there. And it's I was talking to one of the docents that used to work there during the daytime that I was there, and she was telling me, she's like, well, all you need to do is, if you get lost, just look out the window and you'll be able to kind of orient yourself. But when you're down there underground,
you can't look.
You can't do it.
Yeah.
No.
And a lot of those windows are kind of like a frosted glass too.
Yes.
So it's still kind of hard to tell where you're at. Now, something that the one last thing that happened to me that will always haunt me from St. Albans Sanatorium, when I got back, I was having a conversation with my mother, and I was like, we just investigated St. Albans Sanatorium down in Radford. She's like, your aunt was actually committed there. Your great aunt was actually committed there several years ago. So she spent some time in there. So it just, my heart just about stopped when I found that out. So, knowing I had a, kind of a distant family member, but still a family member nonetheless, in such a place that's, with a dark history, it's kind of, unnerving, but it's kind of surreal at the same time, if you know what I mean.
It is, because there's several different hauntings there, and when you think about it, all the different things that you can experience, that from the beginning with the boys' school and the activity that was there, and then the activity, because those rooms, they move different things around over time, and so then you have the time when it was closed and the cult activity that was going on. And then you have the actual activity from when it was a hospital and then when it closed again. So you've got all this different activity that's meshing together, and you just really never know what you're going to experience. And from unless I'm misunderstanding, I think that it's actually St. Albans is still open. It was just combined and moved into the hospital that's there now.
Mm-hmm. And, again, a body of water runs right past it.
That's right.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So that's super intense there.
Yeah. Jess, any comments or questions? I know we got a couple more minutes.
We do have we have just a few minutes. Oh, man. That just sounds so interesting. I mean, I want to talk about, because you mentioned the Lizzie Borden house, but I don't know if we can get in. We can't even get into that right now. There's only 2 minutes before the break.
maybe get into that after the break, possibly.
Yes, I think
that's a whole can of worms.
I know. I was like, I wanted to remember to ask about that. I'm not familiar with the Estes method. Do you think you could tell me what that is?
Sure. So I love the Estes method, and you use the SB7 spirit box with noise canceling headphones. It's very important that they're noise canceling, and then you also blindfold yourself. And so you have a couple different people with you. You have the receiver, and then you have the person asking the questions. And what I always like to do is I always like to have a camera on the people asking questions as well as a camera on the person that's the receiver. And so we had a really good Estes method myself with Soul Sisters Paranormal at Brushy Mountain State Prison. And so I was in one of the cell blocks. Soul Sisters was over, they were on the outside of the cell block. And so what they do is they ask questions, and the person who has the noise canceling headphones on, they have it plugged into the spirit box. And so they're supposed to just call out anything. They sort of act as a medium with the spirit box. They're supposed to call out anything they hear on the spirit box, as well as anything that they sense or see, or because again, they're blindfolded. But when you're in that sensory deprived state, you really pick up on a lot of different things. Sometimes the things you're hearing are coming through the spirit box. Sometimes if the person is really open to receiving, they'll get messages elsewhere, because you are in that state. And so it's really cool to go and match up, because you'll sometimes capture disembodied voices in the other room. You'll capture the stuff from the spirit box. But it's really cool to go back and listen and watch the videos to see what's kind of going on around the people, and see if the questions, like the responses that the person is calling out from the spirit box, matches up with any of the questions that the folks are asking from the question askers. And what was interesting that particular night, so I was wearing my Ghost Biker shirt, and part of my logo obviously has handlebars and everything on it. And there at Brushy, there's these mountain roads that kind of go around the prison. And so there was a motorcycle or something that you could hear outside. Now, I couldn't hear it because, again, I had the headphones on and everything. And they were talking over in the other room. And they're talking very, very low. And so I think one of them says, "What is that?" And I hear motorcycle come clearly across the SB7. So I don't know if it was from my shirt, if it was from the recorder, but we were able to capture that on both of the camcorders. And, it was just a really cool, and there was a lot of other things we captured during that Estes Method session, but it's one of my favorites just because you really do get a lot of interesting things when you're in that sensory deprived state.
Wow, it's very interesting.
With that said, we're ready for our final break of the evening. Tonight, guys, we're chatting with Miranda Young from Ghost Biker Explorations. Got Jess Rogie here co-hosting with me. I'm Russ Bailey, filling in for Dave Cruz. Don't go away. It's just getting real, folks. See you in a few.
is out there.
There's something out here.
And so are we. KTOK Digital Broadcasting, The Fringe FM.
I'm Ron Burgundy?
Who typed a question mark on the teleprompter? For the last time, anything you put on that prompter, Burgundy will read.
Most news people are just talking heads reading off a teleprompter like Ron Burgundy, but not here on the Rogie Report News on the Fringe FM. I spend my time scouring the internet for the latest and greatest in the news just for you. Remember to check out the Rogie Report News here on the Fringe FM.
Hi, folks. These uncertain times can cause uncertain gut slowdown. Worry and fear can wreak havoc on our digestion, making it hard to feel optimum. Bloating, less energy, and occasional constipation can slow you down in your daily activity. Try Life Change Tea at getthetea.com. Life Change Tea can help get things moving so you can get that boost of energy you need. Life Change Tea helps protect and defend your health from intruders. It's a weird time right now with all the uncertainty, so gear up and defend your health. Where do you go to purchase? Log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. The specials are on the front page, and we have numerous supplements to help combat intruders. It's time to take charge of our health and to feel better in life. It's time to live. Again, getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Getthetea.com. It is so worth it. Getthetea.com.
The truth is out there, and so are we. KTLK, Digital Broadcasting, The Fringe FM.
Tired of going out and having fun on Friday nights? Perfect. Because that's when our show, Shift Happens, airs live every Friday night at 7 p.m. Pacific, that's 9 p.m. Central, right here on The Fringe FM. Get there while you can status.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Welcome back to Beyond the Strange, everyone. I'm your guest host tonight, Russ Bailey, filling in for Dave Cruz. We also have Jess Rogie.
What up?
Rogie Report. What's up? Filling in as a co-host. And Miranda Young has always been interested in the paranormal for as long as she can remember. As a child, you could find her in her library reading books about ghosts and folklore or visiting with her grandmother, who would often share stories about growing up in the Appalachian mountains of East Tennessee. Miranda began investigating it with a team over a decade ago and continued with them until 2018. Her role on the team consisted of photo analyst, video, audio evidence producer, and marketing specialist, as well as investigator. While fully involved with the team, she found that in her spare time she was traveling and exploring a great deal on her own. She would often take photos of these locations and share them on her social media. These photos started to get a lot of attention and began messaging her and asking what stories were behind these images. This is how Ghost Biker Explorations was born. Once again, everybody, let's welcome back Miranda Young from Ghost Biker Explorations. Miranda, thank you so much for joining us tonight. What an awesome show we're having.
Oh, it's so good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so
Excellent.
much for having me.
So I know, Jess, you're chomping at the bit. I can feel the energy through the break about the Lizzie Borden house.
I just want to hear about the Lizzie Borden house.
That was such an amazing experience, and that was one that I did also as a collaboration with Soul Sisters Paranormal, and we actually ended up having the entire bed and breakfast to ourselves.
Oh wow!
And honestly, that's the only way to do it, because to have the full run of the house, to be able to go in and just kind of do experiments and ask questions, just however you feel led to do. That's the best way to do it. And it was definitely an active investigation. And again, just being there, being able to, touch the handrails and the doorknobs and all that stuff, it was original. So, it just being able to have that experience in and of itself was very cool and such a real honor.
That's so cool. You mentioned the Paracast or something you used to investigate there?
Yeah, so my Periscope.
Periscope. Sorry.
Yes, yeah. So that's one of those little tools that it actually functions off of static electricity. So the way that it's designed that your other tools and stuff won't set it off. Kind of like the REM pod works as a proximity measurer, and so the Periscope is not so. You can't really set it off with your stuff. And so we were actually upstairs in the area that is where the maid stayed, as well as there's said to be children that haunt up there. And we were actually getting some pretty cool activity from the children that were said to be there. And the Periscope was going off. And that's the only other time that I've been able to get that tool to go off, has been with the children there, and then also there at St. Albans.
Wow.
That's impressive.
Christy Sumner says, we've captured male voices and when only females were in the house.
Yeah, because it was just myself, and I believe that there were 4 others from her team that were there, and we were all females. There were no males on the property, and we were getting a lot of male responses. Wow. And there were none there on the premises.
Wow. What's up, Christy? I see you there. She's a great investigator also.
Absolutely.
Very, very good. So Miranda, I know just finishing up with season 3 on Ghost Biker Explorations. When can we expect to see season 4?
So my seasons typically drop during the month of October. They drop every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern time during the month. And so there's typically 4 to 5 episodes each season, depending on how many Tuesdays fall during the month. And each episode ranges from 20 to 40 minutes long. And then those are every Tuesday. And then every Thursday, I always do a live follow-up where either I have who I collaborated with, or whoever owned the location, or sometimes just myself on there talking about what entailed, or what the investigation entailed, and then also talking about the different type of tools and stuff that I use. Kind of giving I call it behind the screens, but kind of giving a behind the scenes look.
That's fun.
So that will drop during the month of October, but I'm hoping to actually have some more lives like I did with St. Albans coming up between now and then.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Yeah, that'll be great. It's an October grand month, guys.
Yes.
I love it.
Oh,
man, I live for October.
I know. It's like soon as August hits, you're like, it's coming. It's time.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, you've got Halloween season. You've got the weather's getting cool. You got football coming back. You got hockey coming back. You've got man, just all sorts of good ghost hunting shows. You've got Sirius XM with their Scream channel. Which,
yes.
Man, oh my gosh, it's just a great time. I'm just ready to skip summer and go straight to fall, because honestly, the fat man can investigate better in the cooler weather. I'm just saying, just throwing it out there.
Well, and for me. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, we got a message from Dave in the chat. Dave Cruz. He says, hey guys, great show. I just got to the airport waiting for Deb. Miranda is so wonderful. Thank you again for a great show. Russ and Jess, great job. Truly Beyonders fam through and through. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you, Dave.
Thanks, Dave. Appreciate that.
Yeah, with and the reason I release my show the way I do as a season is because, I do have a lot of different cameras and a lot of different pieces of audio that I deploy when I'm at the location sites. And I do all of my own editing, and, the show is self-produced.
Nice.
So that, it gives me the time to be able to go through all of that, because I typically have 5 video cameras as well as at least 7 different audio recorders. So if it's a big location, that's a lot of audio and video.
How many hours? I'm like, oh my God.
Yes.
Do you have somebody help you, or just you go, or you're the only one who goes through all the footage? And
I am. I'm the only one that does, because now my first 2 seasons, I had my videographer Josh with me. Season 3, it was either filmed with just myself in vlog style, or Dr. Sumner came in and helped. My friend Tiffany White came in. I had several different people who investigated with me, because typically it's either just myself or myself and a videographer. I do collaborations, but not usually every episode. And so what I'll do is, when I listen to stuff, I will reach out to several different people. Dr. Sumner's one of them, to kind of help validate, this is what I'm hearing in this. Hey, do you hear, just to kind of get some secondary validation. But to go through all of that and then to produce and put the episodes together takes quite a bit of time, and I like to try to put out a quality product. So that's why I release the episodes the way that I do, and have that build up into the actual season, instead of just releasing after I do an investigation.
Yes, because that's a lot of work. That's a lot of work. I'm just thinking about it. I'm like, so it would take you a long time to do each one. Amazing work, though. No, that's great. I love that you do it all by yourself. Great.
Thank you. Yeah, and just the research going up to it. If I try to double the time researching beforehand as I do if I know I'm going to be investigating for 8 hours or whatever. And again, some of the locations are a lot smaller, so maybe I can make a couple trips and do a couple investigations there. But, I try to take the time that I'm going to spend investigating and double that on the research end before I go.
Yeah. And, I got to say too, not all of your investigations take place indoors.
Correct.
I was viewing the episode today, the derailment in you were in Kentucky there, correct?
Yes, I was on the Kentucky-Tennessee line in Jellicoe. Yeah. And that's actually one of my favorites, because it was something really different. It was a little bit of a shorter investigation, but it was because I was outside, and it was a 2-part. And we were able to do some different things, show that, you can investigate during the day, and that it can always be more historical than creepy. And so, you had mentioned earlier, you were talking about the smaller locations. Those are what I really love to hit and highlight, because I love to highlight the travel. And I'm always telling people that it's like, you can't take a map. If you take a map and close your eyes and touch anywhere on that map, I can guarantee you that you're going to find somewhere that has some kind of local legend or a haunted history. And so that's what I really like to show with these episodes, are these smaller, lesser known locations, and really share the history of it.
And very cool. Thank you for remembering our troops and our military in that episode.
Absolutely.
My dad, God rest his soul, passed away last year. He was former Air Force alumni, and we have no idea how thankful we should be for our military and our troops.
Yes.
I mean, if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be doing this right now.
Oh, no.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that was something that I really wanted to do with this, because what was interesting about this is I was driving through the mountains on 25 West, actually doing a haunted ghost biker ride. And I just happened to see this. It was a little small sign, about an 8x8 sign, that said 1944 troop train accident. And so the Boy Scouts had actually made a memorial to the troops, but because of the weather and just over time, the memorial was gone. And so, one of the things I really wanted to show on this is that the people that we're talking to, they were once people, and really wanted to take that opportunity to kind of create an homage or a memorial to these soldiers and really put their names out there and show their pictures, just because, this was such a tragic event. Yes. And it was really such an honor to be able to get that communication. It had never been investigated before. So it was really an honor that I was able to get the activity that I got. And so that was the very least I could do, was highlight them and do the memorial at the end of the video.
Absolutely. So tell us what's on the horizon and what's next for Ghost Biker Explorations.
So, as you had said a few minutes ago, season 4 is coming up here in October. So we're filming and going through evidence and trying to get some really cool things put together for that. Every Thursday night, I've been hosting a live stream called Shop Talk Live from the Ghost Biker Garage, where I have different podcasters and different investigators, different location owners on, where we sort of talk shop and just kind of have a casual live stream. So that's every Thursday night. I've actually got 2 big events coming up, one this coming weekend and one next, that are motorcycle related. The one this coming weekend is it's the first annual Harold Young Memorial Scholarship Dart Run. It's named in honor of my dad. We've put together a scholarship. He was a science teacher, and so we've put together a scholarship for students who are interested in the field of science. And so we're having that event this Saturday, and then the next Saturday is the 3rd annual Haunted Ride with Ghost Biker that will be going to. I've not published the map yet, but it will be going to the R.M. Brooks General Store for a bike event. So that information is out there. Plus, we've got several different Harley events, as well as different events at historic locations coming up. I'm going to be in Michigan in July for a Bigfoot event that's coming up there. I think it's like the 15th of July, and event in Athens, Tennessee in June. We've got all that stuff on a calendar that we're putting out, and then going to be in New Mexico in the fall in Las Cruces, which is going to be a lot of fun. Their first annual Las Cruces Paracon.
Oh, how fun.
That is awesome. You got to go to Roswell. Just saying. You got to go to Roswell. You got to go to Carlsbad Caverns out there, man. It is the land of enchantment. I love New Mexico.
I know you do,
I can't wait to check it out.
Yeah, that's where I want to retire at when I retire.
I know you've already decided.
It's great. But yeah, it's I'm so glad that we're going to be able to get out and do these events again.
I know. Yes. Just hearing you say all those words, I was like, "Wow, what year is this?"
And that is really, really awesome that you're doing the scholarship for your dad and everything.
Yes.
That is just
thank you.
It's top notch. I mean, great things are happening with Ghost Biker Explorations, folks. You need to check them out. They're some of the best production quality I've seen. I mean, I do mean that. It's I've watched a few of your episodes and really enjoy them. And we thank you so much for coming on our show tonight.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Yeah, definitely everyone can check out the past 3 seasons. They can watch it on the Ghost Biker Explorations YouTube channel, Ghost Biker Explorations Facebook page, as well as www.ghostbikerexplorations.com. They can watch all those past episodes, watch the lives on there, and then definitely check out different events that are coming up, because like I said, we're going to be kind of all around the country, at least on the East Coast, the first half of this year. So a lot of exciting things. Try to think outside the box and do kind of different things. Reach, I do a lot of paranormal events, but I also do a lot of biker events, and so just trying to reach a totally different audience. And, if you've not watched any of the episodes, we try to keep them short. I'd mentioned earlier, 20 to 40 minutes. That way, we're not overwhelming, but we're able to get in there and put the information. We're able to put the information about the travel to the location, as well as some kind of interesting facts about the town that we're in, and then tell a great story, and then show a really interesting investigation. So there's something for, if you're not into the paranormal as much, we definitely cover that history aspect, because that's something that's very important to me. And if you're not as much into the history, we definitely have the investigation part covered as well.
Oh, yes. And, I think what would be really cool if you had a group of bikers, investigators ride across country and visit the Queen Mary in San Diego. That would be pretty amazing too.
Oh, yes. Well, a couple bucket list places that I like.
Yes, I was going to ask you.
Yeah, bucket list. Yeah.
I definitely want to hit Route 66 and go to some of those different places, because of course that would be essentially a cross-country trip for me. And then also the Mississippi Blues Trail, where you get on in Memphis and head down to New Orleans and hit some of those different locations. Anywhere that I can ride and hit multiple locations all at once, and that just makes for such a good trip. So, but I'd totally be down for the Queen Mary and a cross-country trip.
Yeah, I want it.
What about you, bucket list, Jess?
I'm only like 30 minutes from the Queen Mary, but I'd like to go to the Queen Mary. And
is it still open right now?
It is not open yet, I don't think. But there's been there's a bankruptcy or something going on where the ship needs to be repaired, and and so I'm not sure where that's laying right now. Do you know, Russ?
That's what I'd heard.
I haven't really heard much about it. I know it's kind of in limbo, but we're hoping,
it's okay.
I might have to touch base with Nicole Strickland and see what's going on with that. But one of my bucket lists, of course, is Area 51.
Yeah.
Skinwalker.
Skinwalker. Skinwalker. You want to go Skinwalker?
But not only Skinwalker Ranch, more like Stardust Ranch.
Let's go to Stardust Ranch.
Yeah, because there have been actual ET abductions.
The guy got him with the sword there.
Yeah, he killed one with a sword. So I love ghost hunting, but my heart is ufology, man. And if you want to learn ufology, Miranda, just stick with us, because man, it's a whole other world out there, and I'm
definitely interested, because because that's something that when I was a kid, I always was fascinated with, and really kind of scared me when I was younger, just because you never know. And I definitely think that there's something out there, and I'd really like to talk to you guys more, because it's something I would like to learn more about.
Yeah.
And the more I get into the paranormal, the more that you can see that all of this really does parallel together, and that there is a connection.
It really does. It really does. So that it's just blah when you just get into so many of the different aspects of the paranormal, when you get into the cryptids and the UFOs and the paranormal and the ghosts and the spirits, and you're just like, oh, it's so connected.
Yeah. It's really crazy when you really do get into that, because you can really kind of start to see. I mean, I've never gone squatching or anything like that, but through my weekly show, I've talked to some different people that's what they do. And it's really fascinating to me just how into it, and what you can really learn from people when they're going out and really deep in their field of study. It's just amazing.
Yes. Russ?
So we've got a couple minutes left, Miranda. Once again, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We've really enjoyed this. It's been an absolute blast. Why don't you tell our audience where they can find you and yours?
So the place where I'm most active on Facebook right now, because I love to do lives, and I love to share my photos and interact with everyone that follows on that page. So the Ghost Biker Explorations Facebook page is a great way to interact with me. I'm really trying to build my YouTube channel up as well, so that I can do on-location lives on there. And that's under the Ghost Biker Explorations name. If you go to www.ghostbikerexplorations.com, the website has got the calendar on it. It's also got places where you can purchase Ghost Biker merchandise as well as some of my artwork. That's actually how I fund my travels and fund my production. Yeah, is through I draw a lot of haunted locations and that sort of thing. So so you can see my artwork on there, purchase I'm a designer, so I've designed all the t-shirts and everything, the logo. So Ghost Biker merch is on there, as well as, again, all of the different videos. And we're also on Mix TV, which is a local Chattanooga, Cleveland station. So it's got the links to that on there as well. And then on Instagram under Runaway Vixen, that's where you can follow all the different photography. And I think we also have the capability of going live on there. So we're working on all these cross platforms and trying to be, going live, but I'm actually very active on the social media sites. So hope you guys will click like, share, subscribe, and come on over and hang out with us.
Most definitely. Jess Rogie, where can we find you at?
You can find me Wednesday. Oh, you can find me Wednesdays live on the Fringe FM at 6 p.m. Pacific, but you can also find me on all social media at the Rogie Report. That's the ROGGE Report on all social media. Thanks for having me, Russ. And thank you, Miranda. This is amazing.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
And thank you, Jess, for co-hosting and producing tonight. Couldn't have done it without you. She's awesome. Thank you again, Miranda. Definitely have to collaborate in the future, me and you and all of us. You can find me on Facebook at Black Sky Paranormal, Twitter at BSky_paranormal. On Instagram, I'm at Black Sky UFO. And, of course, BeyondTheStrange.com. And Beyond the Strange is owned and copyrighted by Dave Cruz. Cannot be simulcasted, rebroadcasted, or copied without written consent of Beyond the Strange. Also, the views and opinions are not necessarily that of Beyond the Strange, hosts, guests, and affiliated networks. Listeners are encouraged to conduct research and to formulate their own opinions. Executive producer and creator of Beyond the Strange is Dave Cruz. Co-executive producer is Deb J. Cruz. Disclaimer and voice work by Casper Parks. Visit CasperParks.com. Music is by Alan Hall and Zebrafish. Visit SoundCloud.com/Zebrafish. And coming up next, ladies and gentlemen, is Lighting the Void with Joe Mother Bleepin' Roop.
Woo! Thank you, guys.
Stay strange, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. We'll be back next week, and catch us on Twitch this week, guys. Take care. Good night. Stay strange.
Thank you all.
Hasta.